Remember a few months ago when we tested the Honda Civic Si and I mentioned that it is the ultimate fun and sporty daily driver? Well, I've got a new contender. This is the 2024 Acura Integra Type S. It's definitely more sporty and definitely a lot more fun to drive. But does it still maintain the perfect blend between practicality and sportiness? Here are my thoughts. First of all, I'm a huge fan of how this car looks. From the aggressive front bumper to the triple center exhaust and the large rear diffuser, this car looks amazing. Especially when paired with this platinum white pearl paint job. It shines, literally shines under the sun, which again makes this car look even better. The extended wheel arches definitely add to the masculinity of the car, but in my opinion, I think they look a little bit tacked on. I prefer the look of the ones that are on the Civic Type R. That's sort of more integrated into the body lines and stuff like that. The Type S does not get the big spoiler that the Type R has, so the overall design language is a little bit more mature. Here in Canada, the Integra Type S is going to set you back about 58,000 Canadian dollars, which actually is significantly more competitive compared to the US pricing. In the States, if you want to get the Integra Type S, it's about 7,000 USD more than the Civic Type R. Whereas in Canada, if you want to pick up the Integra Type S, it's only about 5,000 Canadian dollars more than the Civic Type R. Anyway, let's talk about the powertrain. Under the hood, you will find a K-Series engine, a K20 C8 to be exact. This is a 2-liter single-scroll turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine that puts out 320 horsepower at 6,500 RPM and 310 pound-feet of torque between 2,600 and 4,000 RPM. A 6-speed manual transmission comes standard and is the only transmission you can get. And then power is routed through that and a helical limited slip differential to the front wheels only. Alright, in terms of suspension setup, the Integra Type S features dual-axis McPherson strut up front and a multi-link rear suspension setup. It also has adaptive dampers that's tuned to be a little bit softer than the Civic Type R for a little bit more comfort. In terms of the wheels and tire setup, the Integra Type S has 19 by 9.5 inch alloy rims paired with Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires that are 265 wide all around. And inside the wheel, you get a set of Brembo 4-piston brakes up front and a single-piston brake setup in the rear. Lastly, in terms of curb weight, this Integra Type S weighs in at about 1,460 kilos, which is right around 3,200 pounds. Quite light for what it is. One last thing before we go for a drive, let's hear how the engine sounds from the exhaust and the intake. Right off the bat, this car is fantastic to drive. I have a big smile on my face. It is an absolute blast. The throttle response is great. The exhaust sounds fantastic in Sport Plus. Oh, pops and crackles. You got plenty of those. The engine becomes very, very potent right around the 3,000 RPM mark. And dude, this thing handles like so good. 320 horsepower isn't a whole lot in today's standard, but when you're this light and it's only front wheel drive, it's plenty. If you floor it off the line, you're definitely gonna spin up the wheels, but it is still very, very manageable considering that it's got a pretty advanced set of suspension as well as a nice trick limited slip differential. Which brings me to the handling and the grip. Just look at this. Whoa, I've got to turn right now. Oh man. The steering is sharp, it's got grip for days, the steering is direct, it gives you plenty of feedback, and then on corner exits, the limited slip differential just pulls you out of the corner like it's nothing. Of course, these PS4S's tires also help because they're just so good, but this car is handling king. The pedal placement on this is also fantastic. It's spot on. The clutch travel is short, it feels natural, and it has clear resistance at the bite point. The transmission, also great. The gears, the gates are precise, and it feels quite notchy for a cable setup. It handles like a dream. This is, this has so much grip. It's got the pop-ups to complement it as well. Oh man. Right around 4,500 RPM, you get most pop-ups. Anyway, I'm having too much fun in this. In terms of ride quality, the Integra Type S comes with a set of adaptive dampers. You get 3 different levels of damper settings. Sport and Sport Plus is quite obviously too stiff for day-to-day driving, especially in Toronto roads. They're just too bumpy, there's too many potholes. It's not a great experience. I'm sure it's fantastic on track, and I'm sure this performs really, really well on track as well. But in normal day-to-day driving, especially on these roads, Sport and Sport Plus is a little bit too stiff. However, comfort is surprisingly compliant. I do feel a difference, and it is very much comfortable for day-to-day driving. It's fantastic. Now, I wouldn't say that the suspension is as soft as the Civic Si that we tested a while back, but in terms of daily driving, I have no complaints of this comfort stiffness. That's actually exactly how I set up my individual mode on the infotainment as well. I have the engine set to Sport Plus, that gives you all the pop-ups. Just like that. Steering at Sport, which gives me pretty good weight, and then suspension in Comfort. Now, of course, this being a front-wheel drive manual performance vehicle, there are some limitations. Off the line, you're not gonna be the fastest. You're not gonna dump the clutch every single time you get off the red light, nor are you going to be the fastest in comparison to an automatic car or an all-wheel drive car in terms of response if you want to do an accelerating maneuver, let's say. But the Integra Type S sure is a hell of a lot of fun to drive, which I think I take this over a fast, zippy electric car for sure. Okay, but what about practicality? I've got a big trunk. Suspension is compliant, like I mentioned, in comfort mode. I have all the tech that I need in this car. I have adaptive cruise control, lane centering, blind spot warning, uphill brake hold, auto rev matching on downshifts, as well as wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and a wireless charger. Fuel economy on this is also fantastic. This does about 7 liters per 100 kilometers on the highway, and about 9 to 10 liters in the city if you drive it gently. So it's all sunshine and blue skies, right? Well, not exactly. Let's head back and I'll tell you about it more. Although the front cabin is very well equipped, I get heated steering wheel, heated seats, fully digital instrument cluster, a head-up display, ELS sound system that sounds miles better compared to the Bose sound system in the Civic Si, as well as superior build quality everywhere, and these super clicky knobs that I still can't get enough. The seats, they just don't feel supportive enough, especially for a vehicle of this caliber. I mean, look at me, it just doesn't have enough bolstering. It is fairly comfortable, but compared to the bucket seats in the Si, it just feels much better in that. It's a little bit more sporty, it hugs you much better while still maintaining the comfort levels. I also don't like the fact that I'm losing out on memory seats on this trim, which the A-Spec Elite has, and still have this weird looking armrest center console situation here that I'm not a big fan of. That's not it though. Okay, the rear seats do offer a pretty decent amount of legroom and an acceptable amount of headroom. However, what's going on Acura? There's no suede materials like you do get in the front seat. There's no perforations like you do get in the front seats. You don't get any air vents in the back. You don't get any center armrests in the back here. You also miss out on a fifth seat. Why? Is it because of weight saving? What is it? Why? I don't understand it. You're also missing out on rear heated seats that you do get in the Integra A-Spec Elite, as well as the $20,000 cheaper Civic Si. Come on. To sum up, the driving experience with this Integra Type S has been epic. It is no short of lots of fun. The exhaust sounds fantastic with the burbles especially, and it is extremely enjoyable to drive. It is a pity that there aren't twisty roads or canyon roads around the area that I live, otherwise I would really be able to maximize the fun out of it. However, it is not without its compromises when it comes to practicality. The rear seats especially is missing quite a few features compared to the lower trims, which makes this more sporty and a little bit less practical compared to the Civic Si. However, the big question is, do you still think that it still has the best blend or the perfect blend between practicality and sportiness? Comment down below, let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.